Just had Ronald Pratap on. Champion. What a champion. He started his own business a couple of years ago and he's pushed through out the other side. He's had some trials and tribulations and he shares what it's been like to start his own business from scratch. He came out of a big institution, had a go at it himself, and it's a really good example of why people do advice. And if you're out there and you're sort of struggling to sort of stay engaged with what you're doing, Ronald's a great example of really pushing through and sticking to what you really love and why you're doing it. So enjoy the podcast.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Netwealth. Launching nearly 20 years ago, this ASX-listed company is ranked #1 for overall platform functionality and user satisfaction by investment trends for the past 3 years. As the financial advice landscape changes, it's important now more than ever to embrace new technology and enhance the way you do business. With this change comes your chance to innovate, explore new perspectives, and realize new efficiencies. Netwealth is here to support you on this journey by providing you market-leading technology, excellent customer support, and expertise to help you innovate in your business. Visit the Netwealth website to learn more and get the PDS, which clients should read before making a decision. Products issued by Netwealth Investments Limited.
Mr. Ronald Pratap.
Got it, mate.
Yes.
Pratap.
Yes, first time. How you doing, man?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Really good. It's so good to have you on.
Thanks, mate.
You've been one of the first drinking buddies of XY. I mean, one of the first members of XY.
Yeah, members, yeah. That's it, mate.
Yeah, you used to, when did we first, what was the first event you came to?
I think it might have been a towel event. Might have been one of the towel events.
Was that the one where we'd oversupplied, or there was too many beers and we had to drink them all? Or
I think it was the other
they
way
were kicking
around.
us out.
Yeah, because there wasn't enough beers. And then we had to go downstairs. So
we flipped that around for the next couple, that's for sure.
That's it, mate.
So how's things been?
Yeah, good, mate. So I think I was on the XY podcast probably when into the first few months of starting my business. So it's probably a couple of years now. So August was 2 years of the business, RP Wealth Management.
Yep.
It's been quite good. Still in business. Haven't had to take a part-time job, which is always a good sign, you know.
So yeah, you started, I think you had a certain target market. I think were you working with tradies before?
Well, the blue-collar workers and self-employed clients are my domain. I guess that's where I'm dealing with a lot. I guess the referrals that are coming through from accountants, mortgage brokers are more in that space. And I think for me, that's who I get along with quite well. But at the same time, I'm doing a lot within the retiree space as well.
Okay.
And I see a lot of stuff happening in the millennial space in terms of advisors trying to get into that. And it is a tough market to crack. It's something that I do want to get into. But at the moment, the bread and butter is there with the retirees, the blue collar workers that, have these large amounts of income but don't know how to structure their superannuation payments, don't know how to structure their assets, their income and, putting it into buckets and setting themselves up for the future.
So you did mention talking about these clients and where they're coming from. There was a plural used with mortgage brokers and accountants and referral partners. What's going on there? Have you managed to sort of get a few up in your group? Yeah,
so I guess you probably would have known. I think when I was last on the podcast, I was a member of a BNI group. And everyone's got this philosophy, or not a philosophy, but their opinion about how BNI works for them. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. They've gone to groups, I've gone to some groups and it feels like it's a bit like, robots, and it's got a bit of a cult kind of following. But the group that I'm with, they're a great bunch of people, and I ended up becoming the president of the BNI chapter.
So that's the one that you started with a couple of years ago?
That's right. So I Donald Trumped it somehow, and then I got in there and became president after about 6 months.
Populist voting, was it?
Something like that, mate. Yeah, we won't get into it too much.
You started bribing?
No, there's no bribing, mate. There's no bribing. You just use your personality, and then things happen.
Oh, they like you.
It's much like being an advisor,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think the era of using your personality to get clients may be coming to an end.
Yeah, definitely. I think you got to back it up these days as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you seeing coming through in relation to that? What are the pain points coming through to your business?
I think with this whole Royal Commission, it did it's definitely scary when you're starting a business or when you're within the first few years of your business hearing about Royal Commission. I guess for me, I came out of the banks, coming out of ANZ and MLC world, where you always had someone backing you up, whether it's your manager, whether it's the CEO, whether it's the organisation itself. Then you hear the Royal Commission and then it's very scary stuff. But at
You're
the
like,
same,
no one can back me up. Yeah.
that's exactly right. It's you. If something happens, then you have to drop everything to protect yourself. But I think if you're setting out the right foundations and do things that and you can genuinely say that you'd give that type of advice to your friends, your family, your loved ones, and you can do it for your clients, then you're going to be in a good track to, I guess, set yourself up or set your business up. And I think with the Royal Commission, it started making people think about, what is their advisor doing for them? I haven't seen my advisor in 3 years. Now I'm getting a letter sent that says I've paid $1,000 a year for the last 3 years. And it's starting to make people think about, okay, maybe I want someone that's more engaged, or maybe I can see someone I'm going to get more value out of. So for me, the Royal Commission has actually helped my business grow in terms of getting clients out there that are disgruntled with their existing advisors.
Oh, so Ronald out there stealing other advisors' business.
No, I make that call.
Hey, you're not taking them; they're just coming to you.
I'm not paying 3 times. That's what I'm not doing.
So what are the discussions around this? Like, so obviously you've had your clients. Have any of your clients had have you had any tough discussions that they've come up because of the Royal Commission?
No, I think in my first meeting and in our review meetings, I kind of start talking about what's happening in the current climate. I guess we have our conversation about what's affecting my client, but then I have my discussion about what's affecting the financial planning world. And, clients aren't stupid. They see the news and it's everywhere you go to. Like, you see it on your news feed, you see it on, social media. It's happening. So I guess I start to address those issues. And for me, it's a part of my value proposition is this is the reason why I left the corporate world. I left the corporate world because we were having a sales meeting every Monday morning. When you're a financial advisor, you're supposed to have a sales meeting. That culture, I understand at the end of the day, you need to make money for the business. But when you're calling it a sales meeting and you've got targets, then it starts changing the way that why you became an advisor. At the end of the day, it is about, being profitable, but there's 2 ways to go about it. And I guess, starting my business was because I didn't feel like a financial advisor anymore. I felt like a car salesman. Yeah. At the end of the day, I started this business because I want to help people. I want it to be profitable, but at the same time, I'm not restricted to, say, writing a product for a certain company.
What is the metric you look at for performance of your business?
And that's probably where in the last 12 months is where I'm focusing my attention on, processes, systems. How do I, now that I'm by myself, what's the targets that I set for myself? So the good thing is, and I've probably spoken about it before, but with my licensee, the head of my licensee, Arthur, he honestly, in the last 2 years, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be where I am today because, we hold quarterly meetings. So we sit down 2 hours every quarter, talk about just the business planning. And that's not on top of all the other discussions that we have in between that.
That's awesome.
I'll call him at 9 o'clock at night to talk about some issue that I might have. And where else can you call it the head of a licensee to talk about issues like that?
That's really good. You really don't hear many people talk about their licensees like that. And of that sort of support, really.
Yeah. We help each other out. He'll get new recruits to call me and talk about my experience. Mm-hmm. And then, he'll help me out by taking those calls at 9 o'clock at night when he probably shouldn't be, or sending an email. We're usually emailing back and forth at night, but at the same time, he gets what he gets is someone coming into the licensee that fits the model. For me, I don't get anything out of it. I just like who I'm dealing with, and at the same time, if I can change processes and I guess systems in the back end, that's going to help my business and help the licensee. That's all. That's just going to benefit everyone.
Totally. Oh, that's really cool. I'm stoked because what was that corporate background? What was the
Yeah, so for me,
what got you so disgruntled about the corporate world?
I wasn't really disgruntled because, I had free reign to do whatever I wanted to do. But at the end of the day, I like a challenge. I like being able to always have a goal and then go to that next step. But I felt like as clients were coming in, you're signing up these clients, you're putting them into a product. At the end of the day, the product was the focus, even though probably shouldn't be. It was for the bank. So you're putting it into the product, then you're going on to the next client. And every time you hit your targets, then your targets for next year are going up. So if you're doing good, your target's going to go up. But if you're doing bad, you're kind of kicked out. So you're
pretty aligned to certain outcomes.
That's right. So, every year it was just that I was kind of growing the business for someone else, because whilst we were under the corporate world, we were still an aligned dealer group. So we're still under an umbrella, but I was still told to go out there and find my own referral partners. I was still told to go out there and do the prospecting. And, whilst I did that for about 3 to 4 years, it helped me get the skills I needed to start my own business.
How different was, because a lot of people, that's one of the propositions of a larger group, that you're not going to have to prospect as much.
Yeah.
What is the difference between having your own business and that existence for the advisors out there that might still be employed?
Yeah.
Thinking about going out, what sort of activity changed, or were you doing the same activity? You just got to keep all the spoils.
I think for me, it changed a lot more, where whilst I was told to go do the prospecting and, knock on doors, get in front of people, get these relationships, I also still had a book of clients.
Yep.
So I had that security where that book of clients was there. I could identify opportunities in there, and I didn't have to worry too much about the relationship side of things, because at the end of the day, I still had a salary and I still had a book of clients.
Yeah.
Now out on my own, I started from scratch. So I left, 400 clients to start off from zero. So when you start off with zero, and I just completed a Europe trip for 8 weeks. So, probably not the best thing to do before you start a holiday.
Drain the
bank account.
Drain the bank account. Hey, it builds the...
I think for me, it was the fear of not having money is going to push me to succeed.
Yeah.
So, I wrote down a list of friends and family members that I could just, proposition what I do. And it wasn't giving everyone a call and getting on the phone and annoying them, because then you're going to be that annoying cousin, that annoying mate that no one wants to talk to.
Was it the sympathy play? Like I just started.
It was more of a Facebook message, but it was a same Facebook message, but it was, I knew what my friends and family, what stage of their life they were at. So, I hit on super or insurance, or you're self-employed, think about this. This is where I can help you. So, I had a kind of a email template for each one, and I just Facebook message. And then maybe like a month later, or a couple of weeks later, I just checked in again. And if they didn't want it, then that's fine. But that's how I started. And then from there, it was just, doing, you've seen that I've done a lot of stuff with my blogging, LinkedIn. And I've got more people on my LinkedIn than I've got on my Facebook. I don't even know I had that many people on there until someone said, you got over 1,000 people. It's like, once you start building your LinkedIn profile, then everyone just wants to add you. You've got the property developers hitting you up. You have people that, want to help your business. Or
What's the process you go through, or what has been your LinkedIn process? If an advisor not doing anything on LinkedIn, how
so for me, a lot of people talk about this SEO stuff and SME. I think at the end of the day, what you need to start doing is start linking everything back to your website. So I guess it's quite hard as well, because depending on what area you're going into, you're also competing with a lot of other financial advisors. So when I originally started my business, I said, Western Sydney, I'm gonna take over Western Sydney, or that's where I want to succeed. And I said, I can base myself from Parramatta and then kind of branch out from there. But then when I got into it a lot more, I found that I'm still competing with another maybe 200 advisors in that Parramatta and surrounding area. If you go into the city, you've still got another 1,000 advisors. So if you're putting up a blog or you're doing anything, you're going to be on, the 10th to 50th page of Google before you start getting any traction. So then I started moving out more into the southwestern suburbs. So, looking at the Macarthur region, the Penrith type of region, and then focusing my attention there. So whenever I was doing anything with, putting up any blogs or putting up any videos, I was always using those keywords for those surrounding suburbs. And then, getting that my SEO rating went up.
And you were able to measure all that as
I wasn't able to measure it, but I just kept Googling myself all the time, or Googling myself on other people.
You individually got your own SEO rating up by Googling yourself.
No. But I would check on other people. So I was just like, type in, Macarthur financial planning, or type in something financial planning. Don't want to give too much away, but doing those things is help if you as long as you start linking everything back to your website, whether it's going to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Google's going to be notified that your website's getting updated as well, and people are going from that to your website. So, for example, I might put up a LinkedIn blog, but I might only show the first paragraph of the blog and then say, to read on, click onto this link. And that's going to take you to my website.
Yep.
But if I don't have that link on there and I just tell you to read the blog, chances are you're probably not going to read all of it. And chances are you're going to read it, but it's not going to do anything.
Action.
Yeah, there's nothing to go to my website for it as well. So you've got to create either a call to action, or if you're not going to get the client, then you're also going to create some type of traffic to your website as well. And it might be 10 times before that client comes back to you, but they've seen your website, they've seen your social media. It's like a shop front. At the end of the day, we're doing all that we do online because we don't. It's a shop front to show that we do have a reputation. Advisor ratings is another one that I use, and I still get referrals from advisor ratings.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So those type of things all help. The Google ratings, the Google reviews at the same time, the client testimonials on advisor ratings, on Facebook. I send an email to every client that I do some work with, and if you're happy with the advice, if you're a legend, you'll put a review on Facebook. If you're an extra legend, you put it on. You'll copy and paste it and chuck it into Google. Okay, and if you're a step above a legend, then you'll go onto advisor ratings and fill out this survey.
That's so good. At what point in the process do you do that?
Right at the end. I know some people do it at different points, but for me, it's like I've done all the work, I've implemented it.
You're gonna prove it.
I've kept you up to date with everything. If you're happy with that service, chuck it on, because at the end of the day, I want genuine people to show that they're happy with the work that I've done. And if there's anything wrong, what can I change in my process in order to make it a little bit better for you?
Yeah, that's really good. What about asking for referrals?
I do that straight away. Not straight away, sorry. At that process as well.
I'm Ronald. My name's Ronald. You got anyone else I should be talking to?
So for me, it's I say I'm not out there advertising. I'm not out there like one of the banks putting my brand out there. So for me, I rely heavily on word of mouth. If you think I've done a good job, then the best way that you could say thank you is by referring me to your friend or family member or someone that you think that might be in the same situation as you that I could help. Yeah, and look, it doesn't happen straight away. It might take months, it might take a year before that client feels comfortable, because at the end of the day, and this is how I think with my referral partners, you're putting their reputation on the line. So if they refer me to their friends or family members, I'm a reflection of them. And at the same time, when you think about your referral partners, when you're getting a referral, you got to think that you're a reflection of that referral partner. So you got to treat that referral like gold. And so I think that's how organically I've grown my business, and why the relationships that I've had with mortgage brokers and accountants have started to work, because now I sit in an accountant's office. I've brought the mortgage broker in that's part of the BNI group, and then at the end of the day, number one is about the clients, but afterwards, every Friday afternoon, we're cracking a beer open, playing darts, and we can all have fun at the same time.
What would you say? Like I've been to a couple of BNIs, mainly as guests. Actually, it's quite an interesting thing. Oh, welcome! Please present to everyone, all 40 people. But it's a good experience. What would you say to the people that I guess have a bit of an issue with the metrics or the the number counting of the referrals between people in the BNI? So that framework where how many referrals have you given out, how many you've received, all that sort of stuff. What would you say around that?
Look, don't go into there thinking that you're just going to get business. And this is not just for BNI, this is for any networking group. If you're part of that group, don't expect that you're just going to get referrals because you're a financial advisor. It takes a lot of trust, and it takes a lot of, I think, sending your message across, because not everyone knows what a financial advisor does. When someone told me 10 years ago, mentioned financial planning, I had no idea what a financial advisor was. So don't expect other people to know what it is. You've got to kind of continue to spread your message about what you do, how you add value, and then people will start to refer to you. The way I did it is that when I first went into the BNI, I started pretty quick into setting up the business. I think I set up the business in August. By November, December, I was a full-fledged member. And then June I was president. So it all came quick to me.
Don't muck around.
Yeah, so what I did is that I needed people to do my flyers, to do my business cards, to do my website, to do my I use services for lending, etc. So who did I go to?
So it's a great opportunity.
It was the people
make a connection with them.
because the idea of BNI is it's givers gain. So if you give a referral to someone in the group, they're going to feel like they need to give you a referral back. So instead of going outside my group, I'd use everyone in my group because that creates that sense of trust, and also I'm confident to use them, so they're going to be confident to use my services as well. And within that 6 months, I built up a pretty good reputation, which is, I think, why I became being president of that BNI chapter. And then it was down to 11 members. We grew it up to 22. Now the chapter president of that is the mortgage broker I deal with. So, we're still working quite close together. It's a great group. And I think also the dynamic that you've got to look for is that I've gone to other groups and, you got 45-year-olds, 55-year-olds that they're kind of, 10 to 20 years into their business. They might already have relationships with other financial advisors. So I think why our group work is that we have a lot of, 25 to 35-year-olds that are within their
newer
first
businesses.
few, newer businesses. So they're happy to grow your business while growing theirs because they know that reciprocal arrangement as well. It's not about putting joint ventures into place straight away, not about, money splits or anything like that. All my best relationships are just from referrals back and forth.
Yep.
I have no joint ventures in place. Now we're starting to have those discussions, but for the last 2 years, I've just grown off organic referrals, no money splits. And when you can sit in front of the client and genuinely say, I'm not getting anything from this referral, makes the client feel a lot better as well.
Yeah, totally. How do you think your advice propositions changed over the last couple of years, since starting out? Obviously, sort of heard a bit about what you were doing before, but how's that changed as you've gotten more experience in your own practice? And
I think there's a couple of things there where one is, financially at the start, you can only do what you're limited to in terms of, you started the business, you've put all this money in, but you don't have the systems, the process, everything
Can't spend
in place.
on that stuff.
That's right.
And everybody's a client.
Well, you're not really choosy at that point in time. Everyone that picks up the phone and talks to you for a bit, that's potentially a client. But now I can, honestly say that, I've turned away some clients that are just, chasing returns, because at the end of the day, that's one thing I will never guarantee, especially in this climate. The only thing I can guarantee is that I'll give you, if you call me or email me, I'll give you a call within 24 hours or email you back some type of contact. That's the only thing I can guarantee. And I'll explain to you if something goes wrong. I'll be there for the good times and the bad times. I can't guarantee markets, but I can tell you why or what happened at that time.
What about have you developed more of a target market over time, or?
Yeah, so I think I still like that retiree space. I do quite well in the Centrelink advice and maximising their assets in retirement. I know a lot of other people are focusing more on that millennial space, but that's something that I haven't got down pat yet. And I think over time, that's what I'm trying to focus on. Bringing in tools like My Prosperity, trying to use those type of tools, and then bringing in systems that work good in the back end with My Prosperity, so I can maybe monitor that a bit more. But also, I'm more of an advisor, not a coach, but I want to be in that space or get someone into that space. So that's the type of
Have you jumped on the new training platform?
I've seen the emails. I've clicked on it, so you've probably got notified that Ronald clicked on it. But
we're waiting for you to register, because there's some good courses there that could help you get into that coaching space.
I did check it, and it's something that I do want to look into, and it's about starting to outsource as much as I can to start giving myself time in terms of the education piece as well, because at the end of the day, it's always a learning experience, and if you're not changing, you're going to be one of the advisors that are going to be pushed out of this industry if you're not, changing with the times.
So on the education bit, I've got a bit of a, I don't know, perspective on, I guess, what it really depends on what curriculum comes out of that.
Yep.
Because there's as you're saying, a lot of where you're trying to go is actually really not in the direction of what traditionally financial planning education covers. So a lot of that technical stuff, super valuable. But if you had to choose between being a technical specialist and a great coach just around people's money, what are you going to choose?
Probably the coach.
Exactly.
Coach, yeah, for me.
So, and then I think a lot of advisors are really I think if you go out there and ask people that question, and I think that's the problem with what's coming through with Fascia is that most people would go, well, I'd rather be a coach because that's where I start. That's where the relationships really build. It's not I'm the specialist. I know this. Do this strategy because it's going to be great for you.
Yeah.
And you can get great outcomes, and it's not a bad thing. It's just not as effective at achieving behavioral change and like transforming people.
Exactly. And if you could be the most technically gifted person, but if you don't have that, that coaching side of you, that personality and getting people in the front door, no one's going to know about you and your technical skills because you've got to get yourself out there. You've got to, like I was talking to you about before, like, I do these videos and I do these blogs and I do all these things and, at first they seem cringeworthy, but you have to do it because no one's going to find out about you unless you put yourself out there.
Exactly.
And when you're starting the business, if you've got no marketing budget, that's the only way to do it. You've got a phone, you've got, it's got audio, so you can do it. You can chuck yourself on live, you can do whatever. And as cringeworthy as it is, you just got to do it.
Yeah, and it gets...
I don't have the best
gets more
head.
comfortable?
It doesn't get any more comfortable. But I think with the combination of, I guess, BNI as well, I stand up every week and I'm not the tallest
like Toastmasters,
guy. Mate, I'm not the tallest guy in the world. So
do they have phone books for you?
Mate, I stand on the chair. But, to stand up every week telling these, 25 business owners, and running the meeting and then, organising, like talking about referrals and all, it just helps me do those videos as well. So I think if you're not comfortable doing that type of stuff, join a networking group or go to Toastmasters or something because it definitely does help.
When it translates through to how you're able to engage with clients, I guess.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you're definitely learning leadership qualities and sort of how to persuade.
Yeah, and even when I go to networking events, because I've BNI for me has worked because people are always searching for chapters and stuff. So when I go to a networking event, they already know that I'm the president of that thing. So or I don't have to introduce myself too much as well. And I think if you're going to focus on opening a business as well, do your research in terms of the area because there's a lot of areas now that they're shifting demographics. So there's more, younger people moving into certain areas. So if you're going to do that, don't say you're just going to focus, you're going to be in one certain area. You've got to look really at where you're going to start targeting.
Well, on that, like locality wise, like a lot of people are moving to the digital space. Are you engaging people over on like video?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I've heard of a few podcasts where they are doing that. For me, I think the personal interaction is where it's working for me.
Yep.
I think, down the track as I potentially build up my business more and maybe get other people involved, and that's where I can start going into that space. At the moment, it's not something that I'm doing. I do have clients interstate, but they're more so they'll come into Sydney. We'll catch up. We'll do our yearly review or 6 monthly review. In some instances, I go out and see them.
Yep.
But at the moment, everything's done via either phone, internet, but no video chats at the moment. But I've heard of a couple of things that I might start putting into my arsenal as well.
Totally. There's plenty of advisors out there using things like Zoom some like half of their business is done digitally like that.
And I think it's great. It's just something that I haven't done myself. I'm great at, you give me a template, I'm great at tweaking it, but if to start from scratch, I always need, a helping hand there or someone to come and, put that system in place. So that's where now that I'm a lot more comfortable with my business, that's the space that I'm getting into, changing processes, changing systems, changing area or how I can give advice in order to change with the times as well.
What do you think, like, the advice process is a huge beast.
Yeah.
So there's so many things to cover. And it's really one of the, like, it in itself makes advice really difficult to wrangle and maintain consistency and meet all the requirements around it.
Yep.
If you're going to, what particular area have you identified as like the biggest pain point? Where do you feel the most pain?
Well, where my licensee started off from was a lot of SMSF advice. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of stuff around, providing that self-managed super fund advice, and that's what they were known for. So, I went in there thinking, I'm going to set up my business and go down that space. But then as I looked into it more, and then you get all these emails about legislation changes, regulatory changes, and just with the commissions and everything, I thought, if I can avoid getting commissions or doing anything like that from the start, I'm not gonna, start getting a couple of commissions and go, you know what, this is quite good. I'm gonna keep doing self-managed super funds and keep getting these property commissions. And so I avoided it. And to this day, I can say, I haven't got any type of property commissions or anything. But I think that's the pain area where I find that once you go into that area, and if things start changing, it's going to be very hard for you to then get back out of it, because it's a complicated area at the start. But then once they start, stripping away those commissions,
the reimbursement for
property develop. I've got property developers hitting me up every week, and
they'll be getting more and more desperate as because I was looking at the graph yesterday that 5% drop in Sydney.
Yeah, I think 8th month in a row where declining property prices.
It's not great for clearing stock, is it?
Definitely not. So that's why
those discounts you were getting at the peak of the market are definitely getting better. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Land's starting to hold more. You've got because in the area that I'm in, I speak with a lot of the real estate agents as well. That properties are on the market for longer. People that are selling, having open homes, they're not doing one open home and then selling their house. They're doing, 4 or 5 open homes before they get, 2-3 people in the door. So
how's it impacted your clients, the property? Because being as of you go back 6 months, you can't before the last 6 months. People could not comprehend that property prices could go down, essentially. So how's the conversation changed?
I've always said that, and I've never been, a property-focused person. I've always said, look at different asset classes. It depends on your goals, your objectives, and then align the investment to that. But I've never been a property person myself, and the one thing I say is that our generation has never seen a property crash. So all they see is housing as the same as putting your money in a bank account, and it's never going to lose money. That's what our generation sees. But I say, I always bring out a graph and say, if you really look at markets from 1980 up until today, shares have outperformed property. It's only that you don't value a house on a day-by-day basis. If you start, valuing a house on a day-by-day basis, the volatility is going to be a lot higher than what it is on, these share markets that we have. Totally. But people don't do that. When do you value a house? You value it maybe once a year, not even. So if you're going to do that every few years, then you're going to notice the growth there. But what we've had in Australia in the last, 8 years or so plus.
Oh, plus, yeah.
Yeah, is something that's unprecedented. It hasn't happened. So we're just, riding this bubble, and I've always said it's not going to last forever. And
what do you think's going to happen, Rod?
Well, we're starting to see what's happened, when you look at the government aren't they're making regulations tighter. So it's not helping the housing market. It's also starting to lead to further decline.
Yeah, I personally think that we're in a bit of trouble. And it's not and no one's able to control it. There's so many elements coming through with the Royal Commission that could the banking system in terms of the requirements for lending. I don't know, you'd be dealing closely with your mortgage broker. Yeah. Tightening of requirements. All of a sudden, clients that you thought could get home loans probably can't get them anymore. And that stuff's just the pre-action from the banks before anything comes out of the Royal Commission. Yep. Wait until something comes through. Just general affordability.
Yeah.
There's so many.
And I've always said to my clients, property is a long-term strategy. Don't go into a property thinking that you're going to flip a property, after 2 years, after 3 years. Look at it as a 10-year minimum investment. If you're looking at purchasing an investment property, look at the income side of things as well, and the average growth rate after 10 years. Because if you look at it like that, then, property is still a good investment. But if you're looking to flip a house, because people have heard, my friend bought a house and they made $100,000 in 2 years, or they've made a couple of $100,000. We don't have that anymore. That's not happening. If anything, you're probably going to lose $100,000 in the first 2 years. So just think about that before you go into the investment, because think of it. And we speak about to the clients, we always align how long they want to invest for, and then we choose, assets based around that. So I've never had any difficulty having that property conversation, because if a client's very passionate about the property, then I send it to the professionals as well. I've got I always say to a client, think of yourself as a celebrity. I'm the person that manages all the relationships. So I have your mortgage broker, your accountant, your property guy, your lawyer. Anything you need, you come to me and I'll put you in touch with those people.
I love it. That's a great one. The client being the celebrity, and you're their
I'm
manager.
like their agent.
You're their agent. Did you used to DJ or something?
That's why these headphones are. I'm used to it being down here.
Yeah. DJ Ronald.
DJ Ron P.
Have you done any more lately?
Oh mate, I left the thug life, so it's all I think I started handing it to my brother, and then my brother started getting a little bit too drunk at the parties, and then I was still charging the same as what I was charging, but he wasn't performing the same, so my reputation went kind of downhill after that.
Well, if there's any decks at the XY Advisor Christmas party, maybe
mate, I'll jump right on.
We'll come out appearance up there. Ron, anything you'd like to leave the community with or share, or anything you're working on that you like to share with?
Yeah. I think for the reason I do this stuff with XY Advisor and with I like to help younger advisors that are getting into the industry is because people gave me the time of day. And if people gave me the time of day, and XY also helped me a lot with the questions I have, chucking a question into the group, getting it answered, helping each other out, I think that's how our community needs to grow in terms of the advice. We don't have the best reputation, and it's slowly getting better. But if we can all help each other out, there's enough clients out there that we can all kind of, share at the same time. We don't have to be cutthroat about anything. But everything, if you're thinking about going or setting up your own business, forget everything, because once you start it, it all changes. All the referral partners that said that they were going to, be there when I set up my business were all gone. I had all new referral partners. All the business planning that I said, I was going to get this many clients by this point of time, and I was going to get this many clients by this point. How do you know you're going to get that many clients? Like, if you can't count on that, you've just got to, do strategies, and if they work, continue to do it. If it doesn't work, fob it off and then move on to the next one. When you're a financial advisor, and you start your own business, financial planning is probably 40% of what you do. All of a sudden, you're a business owner, then you're an accountant, then you're a social media expert, then you've got to do all these things that come with being a business owner. So, don't tear yourself down because,
How good's the bookkeeping?
Mate.
That's the fun part, isn't it?
The first few years when you're trying to run off Excel spreadsheets and stuff because you're trying to minimize expenses, and it's quite hard. And then you've got enough money to go, you know what, pay your accountant a little bit more to do everything for you. It's a bit easier. But there's still times I sit there going, what have I done? Why did I do this? It was about July this year where I said, I was thinking, by the time 2024 comes, I'm just going to pack up. I'm just going to sell my business and give it off. And then I sat down with Arthur, and he, looked at my numbers, and he go, you'd be an idiot to do it. Like, you're doing everything right. If you're doing everything right, and you've got that, your focus, I think you're going to succeed in this industry, and all these changes are happening for the better, and the good advisors are going to, come out.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot less advisors. So you being an AR is it's going to be quite the unique attribute.
That's it, mate.
Mate, you've come this far, so it'd be sad to see you.
Yeah, and valuations are going to come down, so there's no point in trying to sell the business back.
It's definitely much more of a revenue business than a capital play.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, on that note, Ronald,
mate,
thanks for coming along.
Thanks a lot, and you guys are doing a great thing here. I think XY, I think I went into that XY group when it was at a few hundred members, and it's just blown up, and it's just really helping, I guess, the advice community. So I think it's really good stuff that you guys are doing here. Clayton.